Did you know there is a professional esports Call of Duty league? I'm gonna give you all the details about that league in this video.
Welcome to the Call of Duty League, built to reimagine what you think you know about esports.
Who plays Call of Duty? Did you know there is a professional Call of Duty league?
Pro, amateur, and fan competition.
That starts on January 24, 2020. The first matches will take place that day. It's very exciting. The Call of Duty League is a global, city-based esports league. City-based, what does that mean? That basically means each city has a team. So it's 12 professional teams representing the 11 markets across North America and Europe. They will compete in 5v5 matches of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and it's played on PlayStation. There will be regular season events, and they're hosted by the teams in their home market. The launch weekend is hosted by the Minnesota Rokkr. At the time of recording of this video here, I do not yet know where we will be able to watch it, but I will try to find out because I really want to see how the professional Call of Duty League is actually played. Now, the launch weekend will feature predetermined matches in which each team competes twice in a head-to-head play. That's what we know. Each home series weekend thereafter will feature 8 teams competing in a tournament-style competition add to their individual Call of Duty season point total. At the end of the regular season, the top 8 ranked teams, including 4 wildcard spots, will advance to the playoffs.
Call of Duty League Championship Weekend, where the pro season champions will be crowned, challengers hopefuls will compete for the biggest prize pool of the year, and city circuit finalists will vie for their chance at history.
Until the final 2 pro teams go head-to-head in the Call of Duty Championship. What is really interesting for all of you out there that try to become esports pros,
Path to Pro Amateur System, Call of Duty Challengers.
There's also a Call of Duty Challenger League, and that is for all the amateur players, and it has $1 million prize money for the amateur players. So you can play in online tournaments and qualify, and if you're doing really good and collect a lot of points, you can become a pro player in one of the teams. This is called the Challenger League. There's a so-called League City circuit
designed to take the casual competitors to the next level.
And that will give the fans an opportunity to compete on behalf of their Call of Duty team cities. Basically how this works is later this year in 2020, fans will be able to sign up on behalf of their teams to compete in Call of Duty Modern Warfare gunfight matches for a chance to win prizes and to compete at the Call of Duty League event. More details about the Call of Duty circuit to be announced. More info you will find on the website callofdutyleague.com. There's also a schedule and an FAQ about it. What I think is really special about this, I'm not aware that this league format has existed before in esports. Maybe I just don't know. They're competing in cities. The teams have their home cities and they compete in each of those cities. I think that's an interesting idea and I'm curious how that's going to play. Also, it's really a professional league with a challenger league. It's set up very professionally. I'm curious how this is going to work out. You may wonder how I actually found out about this. Some of you may know I'm a big fan of Garyvee, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he announced that he invested in Rokkr as an esports team. Why did Garyvee invest in Call of Duty Modern Warfare and not in another bigger title for esports?
The relationship with the Wilfs, the opportunity that was in front of me, my own personal intuition of League of Legends versus Call of Duty, the culture. You know, when I looked at who are the 18-year-old basketball players, who are the 17-year-old rappers, who are the 13-year-old TikTokers of today that I believed subjectively on intuition would be here in a decade, and what's their relationship with video games, Call of Duty is way up there.
One of the reasons is he thinks it will be more relevant in the future and for a longer time than many other games. And that's of course just a bet. We're gonna see if that turns out true, but on the way, he will definitely learn a lot. and we're gonna watch that very closely.
The publisher has disproportionate leverage. I think this sport is absolutely going to have a different dynamic where you make a team based on the game, and if the publisher changes the game enough in 24 months, you might not have the right talent.
That's actually one of the big concerns I also have with esports, because like of the rules of the sport belong to the gaming company that creates the sport. It's not exactly the same thing like, for example, in football, where there are kind of rules that everybody accepts, and maybe different leagues, but still they play by almost the same rules, and you can create another league with similar rules. That's a huge difference. Here it's basically a game, and so kind of the rules are provided by the developer. And if it changes the rules, the player that were like top tier players before may not be top tier players anymore. But what I think will happen is that the game companies, if they're behind esports, and I think why wouldn't they? If they're behind esports, they're also going to pay attention to change the game slowly and not change like the basic mechanics of the esports part of the game, because it's also important for them. They will be really careful about that, in my opinion. What is really special about esports is that consumption of esports is native to esports. Like, it has their own channels. If you watch esports, you're gonna watch it on Twitch, for example. So, and the community that watches on Twitch is the same community that watches esports. So like the way how you consume it is kind of native to the sports. The classic sports companies, the big companies, they kind of ruined the sports by making it pay-per-view. But there's a big problem to that. All the children, everybody that doesn't want to spend money is not going to watch it anymore. So the sport becomes less attractive. No new young talent is sucked into the sport. And the sport's slowly gonna die. And many of the sports companies, they just want that big cash out from pay-per-view, and they forget about the young people that actually should grow into the sports, that are the future of the sports. If they're not able to consume it, if they're not able to be part of it, they're gonna abandon it. And they're gonna find something else they can enjoy and consume. And that's really the strength of all the esports titles, the gaming titles, because they're easily accessible. They got that. When people started to live stream gaming, gaming companies also thought about that. They argued that they would lose profits, but they got smarter. They actually found out that if their game is advertised by streamers, for example, they actually make more profits because competition is big. There's many different games. If it's accessible to the audience because of streamers covering it and YouTubers covering it, there is an audience for the game, and the engagement will actually be bigger. I think gaming companies learned that the hard way, but now they're pretty much everywhere on that track. But classic sports companies, they're still in that mode where they make things pay-per-view, and they make it really hard to access for younger people, which is really a problem for their own future. Esports is the future, even though some people still don't believe it. But let's have that discussion in 20 years.
There are so many people that consume esports that are native to the consumption platforms of Twitch and Mixer and YouTube, right? Yep. It is easier for 13-year-old Charlie today in school to consume esports than the NHL or the NBA.
It's easily accessible. It has those young talents practicing in the school bus. They already practice on mobile games, and they come in home, they watch YouTubers, they watch Twitch streamers, they know everything, and they practice again. They're more attracted to that than they are to historical sports, and it's really a question of accessibility too. The big heroes are now the gamers and not the big sports stars.
I became a boxing fan because I saw Michael Tyson fights on ABC Wild World Sports and ESPN before he beat Trevor Berbick to become the youngest heavyweight champ, because he was brutal and wild, and it was something, because I could see it. Money came in, it all went pay-per-view, which meant guys and gals like you and I couldn't watch it on Saturday at morning. No more Ray Boom Boom Mancini and Sugar Ray.
I couldn't agree more. I think they really have to wake up here. They have to wake up. If they want to survive, they have to wake up. And also the copyright laws, that's totally a different topic though, but they need to be adapted. Like taking down stuff that actually advertises their contents, that brings more audience to their content because they think they earn less, that's just wrong. In my opinion, it's better to have it out there and have people advertising for it and have people engage with your contents. That's way better to have people engage with your contents because that keeps your content alive. And you really see how people engage with all the content everywhere, and it usually doesn't hurt the originator of the content. It actually draws attention to them. Of course, you have to give credit for content to actually point to the source. It's not okay to just copy a full song and distribute that song. But it's a different story to engage with parts of that song and discuss it or share parts of the song to tell your friends about it. That's a completely different story. That's like free advertising. Now the question is, why does a person like Gary Vee invest in esports? And what profits does he want to take from this?
Just make payroll. Don't go out of business. That when you bet long and in perpetuity, we live through a time now where everyone's building businesses to sell them. I only build businesses to die with them. When you do that, all you have to do is just stay alive when you're betting on what you know is right.
Don't think about short profits. Think about the long run. Build something that you actually enjoy and have fun with. And learn on the way. It's all about a learning. It's all about a living experience. You gotta enjoy it. Don't build it to sell it. You may not get rich by doing that, but you get happy. Do non-gamers also get interested in esports?
Everything is based on the ability to consume it, right? So when you think about the NFL not being able to sell out Super Bowl I, football itself not being a great sport on radio versus what it was on television, all of this has ever been is one big game of media consumption to build awareness, to build interest.
Will there be multiple esports leagues? Like for example in boxing you have those 4 different leagues or even more. It's kind of a devaluation. Will that happen in esports too? I think it's a different setting here because kind of the game company owns their game and they can also impact the way esports competitions are done. So like if the game company decides that there shall only be one league with their game, they can do that. So it has to be a different game. So they have more power on leagues as well because they own the game. It's a different story. It's a different type of game played here with the game companies. But let's listen to Gary's answer.
Will there be a bunch of leagues
Yes.
competing for players and resources?
Baseball, hockey, football.
Sure. Will a well-heeled investor come in and start their own Call of Duty
Yes.
league?
I think that's obvious that that's gonna happen because as soon as there's money, people will create different leagues. I must say I also enjoy these times now where we have all those amateur leagues and those highly motivated, engaged people organizing all those amateur leagues. So now I'm curious, what do you think about a Call of Duty eSports league? Do you actually play Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Do you think this league has a chance? Put your creative and interesting thoughts into the comments. I'm curious to read your ideas. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more amazing stories like this one.